Hey everybody, I'm Kim Cianco with Laura Bridges, and I'm excited about the discussion coming up because Sally Bartamioli, a founder of Laura Bridges, recently got to sit down with Dee Gardner. Now, Dee is a partner with Sally in a project that they call DARE, Dialoguing About Real Racial Experiences. They call themselves White Chick and Black Chick, and I personally appreciate that they have been speaking candidly about really hard topics, the ones that people tend to avoid, for several years now. They bring their life experience as well as their learned expertise into these enlightening conversations. Sally's a writer, coach, speaker, and teacher. Dee is a psychotherapist in private practice, and she's an expert in narcissistic abuse and trauma bonds. You can find their ongoing conversations referenced on the Laura Bridges website at laurabridges.com. Here we go.
We're here today to talk with you about how we dialogue about racism and how we stand together to look at issues of racism. So Dee, I'd like to just keep it simple and ask you, in terms of dialoguing about racism, because first of all, if we're not able to talk about it, we're not going to be able to change anything, right? We're not going to build bridges with each other. DARE is about building bridges. So what can I do to help? How can I help in the conversation, in the dialogue about racism?
Okay, so a start would be making the inquiry like you're making. Notice your curiosity, and you can go to a Black person, you can go to a person of color and find out, get information like you've done with me. Get information, gather more data on what is it I've said that might be offensive. How do you take this? How I could have said it differently. Does that answer?
It does. Just notice my own curiosity, go to a person of color, go to a Black person. And I know you have shared with me that, find other white people too who have been on this journey longer. And I appreciate that. I have some of those people in my life. So I'm grateful for that. And I know we had a whole series on our DARE channel on microaggressions, these things that, we do that we don't even know we're doing. I appreciate that. Notice that I'm curious and then take the risk to ask someone to help educate me. How else can I be of service?
And being honest with yourself, being honest is very, very important. Being willing to leave your comfort zone, because that's what this would take. Being willing to leave your comfort zone, your white cocoon, and on my end, being willing to leave my brown cocoon, and willing to have the conversation. So I guess all that goes with the curiosity part.
I think there is also this acceptance, this fear of asking the question, this fear of making a mistake, but I've just come to accept, that I will make mistakes, that it's a one day at a time, lifelong journey.
Right.
Would you agree?
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Also, it's important to immerse yourself. That's one way you get really comfortable, because that's a part of being honest, being authentic, being real, because we could tell, Blacks we're very intuitive and we can tell. So when you immerse yourself with church, friends, dinner, immerse yourself with other cultures, whatever culture you're wanting to know.
Mm-hmm.
Think about how often are you the minority?
Yeah.
So that way you learn some of the intuitive parts, some of the things that aren't said.
What's another way that I could be helpful?
One main thing that I think is a barrier between maintaining this type of dialogue is the label. This person thinks I'm a racist. I'm a good person. I'm not a racist. So if we could just suspend that, am I a racist versus am I exhibiting a racial bias? Would I have said this had it not been for the color of this person or the way this person is presenting? Would I feel this same way if this was my son or my daughter?
Right.
So just get rid of the label itself is a barrier and triggers some strong emotions.
Yeah. And we talked about those microaggressions often being unconscious. So this is a way to just drop that and just assume that I have some of these biases and that I have some of these microaggressions and unconscious racist ways of thinking, and know that that's a one day at a time learning.
Right. We would not be human without having some sort of bias
Right.
based on gender, color, race. It doesn't make any of us bad people.
Right. Dee, thank you so much for your willingness. I'm so grateful for our opportunity to dialogue authentically about real racial experiences. In summary, how can we help? Notice our curiosity, walk through the fear and be willing to take the risk to ask someone about my behavior to help to teach me. Know that I'm going to make mistakes in the process. It's one day at a time. Just be honest and be willing to leave my white cocoon, to immerse myself in Black culture, to learn about Black culture, and to drop the label. Just accept that we all have biases. I have biases, and I'm willing to lean into the discomfort and learn. Thank you so much for being
You're welcome.
here. Any last words?
One thing that I was just thinking about was that phrase, seek to understand, then to be understood. So if a person keeps that attitude works in business, it works in families, it works in every area of your life.
Thank you.
What a powerful discussion this was. And the great news is we have more. So to find a more comprehensive video of this ongoing conversation, as well as many other tools and resources, or to get in contact with us, go to laurabridges.com. We'll see you there.